As it turned out, all the folks on the road that night were somehow related to the Macaw Air Force Base, located nearby. Insider information, though sketchy, was enough to send them and their families running for the hills. Hours before, an alarm had sounded. Truths had been exchanged, and phone calls had been made by concerned family members. Although nobody knew exactly what had happened, they knew it was bad, and that was enough. The race was on. As Max bounded through the night, Guy was able to barely keep up. As the dog had a wounded leg, he was slightly easier to pace. "Hold on, boy, slow down," he called. Max slowed and paced an area about halfway to the wreck. He seemed to have found something, and Guy went to investigate. When he arrived, he could make out various boxes and gadgets strewn about in the sand, and a parachute. Opened. Guy walked slowly over in the waning firelight and saw what looked to be a man lying face down in some sagebrush. He had apparently ejected a little late, and his chute had not fully deployed. Guy was afraid to look, but he almost had to. He turned the man over and almost hurled his lunch. The man was in full fatigues, obviously a military pilot of the sort. He had a skull fracture about the size of a baseball, but he appeared to be conscious. "Hey man, you okay?" said Guy. "Don't let me die, please." The plea was disheartening. Guy didn't know what to do, and he held the man's hand in comfort. "I'm so sorry. I wish there was something I could do. My trunk ain't running, and all the cars are broken too. Some power pulse thingy or something. I don't know." "Listen," said the man, slowly raising his battered head closer to Guy's ear. "It wasn't our fault. I mean, I tried to stop them." He fell back into his laying position and looked away. "I'm sorry, so sorry." "No," Guy piped up. "You ain't got nothing to be sorry about. Shit happens. You crashed, man." "No, it's... Here, take this." He handed to Guy what appeared to be a small box from his shirt pocket. He was reluctant to loosen his grip once he handed it over. It was about the size of a pack of cigarettes, and about the same weight, but it felt very hard and cold. "Put it in your pocket, and don't tell anyone," he whispered. "Please, please." And with that, he slipped into eternal unconsciousness, spirit devoured by the darkening night. Guy looked up slowly to reveal people moving into the area to see what was going on. He slipped the object into his pocket and turned. "If y'all don't mind helping out, let's see if there's any more survivors." He thought about what he had said. I mean, any survivors. There appeared to have been only the pilot and one co-pilot, who was charred to a crisp in the wreckage. Perhaps his chute had not deployed properly. Perhaps he just gave up. One could only speculate. It was still only 3 in the morning or so, and it wouldn't be light for a few hours. They all waited and huddled around a small burning pile of debris. They waited for help to come, but they all somehow knew it never would. They would have to either walk out or get one of their cars working. There were 4 cars stalled on the road, plus his pickup. 11 people, including 2 small children, about 5 years. As they exchanged ideas and discussed theories, Guy realized they were all military families that had been warned by their loved ones. Nobody was given a reason, only told to pack up and leave town fast. Somebody knew something, but nobody could tell them what was going on, so they only had bits and pieces. Something about an EMP, something about a solar flare. Somebody even said nukes, so nobody really knew anything. It was a very long 3 hours. While all the humans were busy with their chatter, Max had been out roaming the site of the crash. He smelled all kinds of things, mostly bad. He hadn't eaten in some time and was very hungry. The flames had died off rather quickly as the jet fuel was expended, and the co-pilot was hanging out the side, still in his seat. To Max it was nothing more than natural. It surely was not cannibalism, as he was canine. He felt no remorse, only joy. The life of a dog was not complex. He returned to Guy's side without anyone even noticing he was gone. They were far too busy in human chatter and speculation. Max leaned forward on his paws and stretched, then flung out some dirt and curled up next to the fire and slept. He dreamed of chasing squirrels in his old home so long ago. When he woke, the chatter had subsided, and the people looked sullen and weary. Most were wrapped and bundled to stave off the cold desert night, and they looked very distraught. He could feel their emotions with his keen canine senses, and knew they needed some comforting. He nuzzled the children, and incited a couple of smiles. The sun was beginning to shine its glow on the horizon, and Max saw his new master wandering about the plane. He trotted over to say hi and help investigate. "Hey there, little feller. Coming to take a look around too? I could use the company." The wreck extended north for hundreds of feet. He wasn't a foolish man and knew better than to disturb the sight. Many things could be learned by investigators by placement of debris, but he had the notion this was bigger than that. Not a notion. He knew something was bigger than that they could hope to understand. The military should have been there already. What was going on? He didn't touch the stuff, but he did search for anything of use that was lying around. It was mostly just pieces of scrap metal and other junk. It had been a military jet, so there was no lost luggage scattered around, no bodies in seats like in the movies, just a lot of smoke and large boxes, mechanical gizmos and such. He was about to turn back when something caught his eye. Just as the light peeked over the mountains to the east, a faint glimmer from across the field. He hobbled over to the culvert, descending the jet, and trod a few feet east and froze in his tracks. "Oh my God, Max! Oh my God, what in the hell is it?" It was a small glowing orb, yellowish, then fading to magenta, back to sunburst and blue. It was not moving, but the surface appeared to be almost fluid. It was about 9 inches across and half buried in the charred sand. It was beautiful, almost mesmerizing. He walked closer and dared to touch it. It was cold, a familiar cold, like he had only experienced once before. He pulled out the cigarette pack-shaped thingy, he called it a cig box in his mind, and at once felt the same coldness. Not the kind of cold that numbs your fingers, rather the cold that seems to bypass the epidermis and meat and sink right to the bone. It was creepy, almost like a radiation of sorts. Then he noticed something else. The colors had seemed to concentrate on the side of the orb facing the cig box, almost as if they were trying to pull toward it like a magnet. Guy freaked out. "Man, what kind of hokey-pokey crap is this Govey working on now? Weird space balls and pulses and shit? This ain't right." He would keep his word and protect the cig box, but he never said anything about a glowing orb. He threw some sand over the ball of light and returned to the makeshift camp. The children were crying, surely tuckered out from no sleep. The parents garbled about what to do and how to find their loved ones, and nobody was really sure what to do. Guy was the master mechanic, and he figured he'd better get started on the pickup before it got too hot. Max barked in approval. He checked everything under the hood, and all seemed to be in order. If all the cars died, he figured it must be electrical, and since he had a '70s Chevy, he knew it would be the best bet to fix it for the lack of electrical components. Alternator? Nope. The truck was parked. That doesn't make sense. It won't turn over. Must be the ignition. He checked the solenoid, and it was fried. Lucky for me, I got a little skill in these matters. With a little tinkering, the truck roared to life. The sound was deafening in the still morning air. Everyone came running to see. "Can you fix my car too?" "Yeah," piped another. "Fix mine and I'll give you $500 right now. It's that Land Rover over there," he pointed. "I'm sorry, folks. Y'all got too many electrics in them new cars. I couldn't know how to start." Tempers began to flare. One man stepped forward. "Are you saying you can only fix your truck, nobody else's? What kind of shit is that?" Guy pleaded for the man to understand the mechanical factor, but he wasn't hearing it. He was confused and angry, irrational. He said, "Well then, I guess I'm taking your truck." Guy didn't know what to say. He was a scrappy, modest man with no self-defense moves to be seen. The man unhesitatingly approached the cab of the pickup and got inside, closing the door. "Get out of here, you mutt," he called from the running vehicle. Max had been sitting on the passenger seat, ready to go. "Go on, get," he said, and he hit Max across the face, close-fisted. Max retaliated with an audible chomp on the man's arm. "You son of a bitch, I'm gonna fucking k—" He heard the sound and slowly turned to face a 12-gauge double-barrel shotgun. One barrel, more or less, in each eye socket. "Now listen here, you bastard," said Guy, looking rather pissed off. "We're all out here dealing with the same shit, and you think you're gonna take your Range Rover driving ass over, steal my livelihood, and kill my dog?" The man stared blankly at Guy. "Now get the fuck out of my truck before I blow your sorry ass away." "It's cool, man. No harm done. Don't shoot me. I'm just scared, man." "Yeah, scared like we ain't." And with that, he and Max loaded into the cab and started off towards whatever awaited. As he was leaving, he offered his honor that he would send help as soon as he found it. But he never entertained the notion to himself. They drove west.